All right, let's talk about getting rich. But what if the secret isn't some complicated formula? What if it's actually about figuring out exactly what keeps people poor and then just not doing that? Today, we're diving into 27 of those habits inspired by entrepreneur Alex Hormozi and learning how to get rich by doing the complete opposite. Okay, so let's start with this idea inspired by the legendary investor Charlie Munger. To know how to live a good life, first know how to live a miserable one. Now, that sounds totally backwards, right? But think about it. What if the absolute clearest path to winning the game is to first map out every single move that makes you lose, and then you just avoid those moves? So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll cover the big idea behind all of this, something called the inversion thinking method. Then, we'll look at the habits themselves, grouped into three big categories: the mindset traps in your head, the action gap that stops you from getting started, and the toxic relationships that hold you back. And we'll finish up with one simple final rule to tie it all together. Okay, first up, the inversion thinking method. And the key is right there in the subtitle. Your brain is better at avoiding threats than achieving goals. I mean, that's a huge insight. Think about it. For thousands of years, our brains have been wired for one primary thing: survival, to spot danger and get away from it. This whole method is about tapping into that powerful, ancient instinct. So what is inversion thinking exactly? Well, it's pretty simple. You take a problem, and instead of asking how to succeed, you first figure out every single thing that would guarantee failure. Then you just avoid all that stuff. So instead of asking, how can I become wealthy? You flip it. You ask, what habits would absolutely, positively guarantee I stay poor? Turns out your brain is way better at answering that second question because it sees being poor as a threat it needs to get away from. All right, let's dive into our first bucket of threats: mindset traps. You know, these are the internal beliefs, the stories we tell ourselves over and over that basically build a cage around us and make sure we stay put. And this one is a perfect example of a huge trap, habit number 14, which is all about trying to look rich instead of actually being rich. You see it all the time, right? On one side, you've got the flashy brand name clothes, probably paid for with a credit card, all to impress other people. But on the other side, that's what being rich actually looks like. Simple clothes, a bank account that's full, and a laser focus on building real wealth, not just the appearance of it. One is a status game, the other is financial freedom. And of course, that trap doesn't work alone. It's got a whole crew of friends. You've got the classic blame game, complaining about everything instead of taking ownership. There's also thinking the world is supposed to be fair, which just leads to bitterness. How about this one? Caring more about what other people think than what you know is right for you? Or being perfectly fine with being just average. And a really dangerous one, believing you're always right, which means you can never learn anything new. Okay, on to our next category. Let's talk about the action gap. This is that huge, frustrating space between knowing exactly what you should be doing and, actually doing it. So let me ask you a question, and be honest. Are you waiting for that perfect moment to get started? You know, that one perfect day when the stars align to launch your business or start your diet or make that call you've been putting off? If you said yes, then you've fallen right into habit number 13, waiting for perfection. But here's the secret. That perfect day doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. In fact, Hormozi points out that the most successful people, they don't start on a perfect day. They start on a terrible day. They start when everything's a mess because they know the only day they actually have is today. And this waiting for perfection habit has a lot of buddies. Like the most famous lie we tell ourselves: I'll start tomorrow. Or how about this one? Being a professional student. Reading 100 books, but never actually applying anything from them. Then there's quitting at the first sign of trouble. Or maybe it's avoiding discomfort at all costs, even though that's where all the growth is. Or procrastinating on the one task that would actually move the needle. And of course, talking about your big plans way more than you actually work on them. So we've covered the traps in your mind and the traps in your actions. Now for the third and final category: toxic relationships. This one is so important because the people around you, they can either be a rocket ship for your goals or they can be an anchor that keeps you stuck at the bottom. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Be careful taking advice on how to get rich from people who have never been there. This is habit number 3. When people tell you, oh, that'll never work, or that's a crazy idea, they're usually just projecting their own fears and their own limits onto you. Listening to them is like asking for directions to the top of a mountain from someone who's never left their living room. And this goes way beyond just friends giving bad advice. Think about your partner. If you're with someone who doesn't believe in your dreams, that's a huge anchor. Or think about work. Some people hire employees who are less skilled than them just so they can feel like the smartest person in the room. That's a recipe for stagnation. And then there's your own value. If you let yourself become easily replaceable at your job, you're giving away all your power. So we've gone through the minefield. We've identified all these threats, the mindset traps, the action gaps, the toxic relationships that will absolutely keep you poor. So what now? Well, it all comes down to the final rule, and it's beautifully simple. Do the opposite. This is how you actually apply this stuff. Now, this is maybe the biggest mental shift you need to make. Stop thinking about these things as just bad habits or little personality flaws. They're not. From now on, you have to see them as what they are: direct, active threats to the future you want. When you hear that little voice say, "I'll start tomorrow," don't see it as procrastination. See it as an enemy attacking your goals. Your brain's survival instincts will kick in and help you fight it off. And here's the game plan. It's so simple. Just 3 steps. First, pick one. Just one of these habits that you know you do. Don't try to tackle all of them. Step 2, reframe it. Look at that habit and tell yourself, this is a threat. And step 3 is the fun part. Systematically and with a lot of energy, do the exact opposite. If your habit is complaining, your new mission is to find something to be grateful for. Simple as that. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one single question. Forget about all 27 habits for a minute. Just focus on one. Which poor habit, which single threat to your future are you going to declare war on starting today?